All right, Matthew Brenner here from W Dojo and Action Karate. And I'm excited because today I'm going to show you how to keep students longer, get more referrals, and become the best rated martial arts program in town. Okay, so I'm going to show you in this video the 6-step student saver system to make all this stuff happen. Now, I'm really excited about this because this is super impactful. Okay, and the good part about it, let me get to the next slide here. Uh-oh, sticking to me. Go to the next slide. There we go. The reason why this is so important is because this is going to help you better serve your members. There's nothing more important in business than serving your customers in a way that they feel important and the way they feel heard and the way they feel valued as a customer. So I'm going to show you how to do that today in this simple, easy process. And you're going to love doing it because there's just so many benefits to it that I'm going to get into. And it's going to help you recruit new members to your school that you don't have to pay for. Okay. And you don't really have to work that hard for it, to be honest. So when a member comes into your school and they found your website, they're probably like, if they found your website and they looked at all the information, they're probably a hot student and they're ready to enroll. Okay. I would call that a hot lead, not hot like attractive, but maybe they're attractive. I don't know. The second thing is like another type of student is one who maybe you found them. Okay. So maybe you're at like a fair and you have a table or something like that. Those people are not as motivated, right? You found them. So they're curious, but they're not necessarily serious about joining right away. Okay. And then the other type is like the hottest of hot, okay, is when someone is referred by a friend. It's like, hey, go to this restaurant. It's so good. You have to go try it. Like you're going to most likely go try that restaurant. Even if 1,000 people reviewed it and said the same thing online, or maybe some people said it's bad online. Well, if your friend who you trust and like recommends that restaurant, you're more likely to go. All right. So that's why this is so powerful, because you're going to be able to get reviews as well and testimonials. So if you do this correctly, you're going to improve your customer lifetime value, okay, which means essentially more, stronger, recurring income for your martial arts business, okay, which is the name of the game, right? Getting someone to pay and keep paying and keep being a student over and over and over again and keep getting the value of the training, right? Next thing is you're going to get people to tell their friends about you, okay, which is going to be really important. And I'm going to show you how to get a lot of reviews so that you're the highest rated and the highest reviewed program in your area. Okay. If you have the most reviews and the best reviews, that's when you become the no-brainer martial arts option in your area, and no one can even compete with you. Okay. Here's how to do it. We're going to have fun. And once you're done, you're going to be dancing like nobody's watching and feeling super good. All right. And oh, by the way, this is going to take less than 6 minutes. It doesn't require any expensive software or fancy tech. And you can get your staff to do it for you with basically zero training. Okay. So even if like you're really busy and you're teaching all the time and you have someone in your staff that maybe has a couple free minutes each class or in between classes, this will be good for them. Okay. All right. Let's get started. Let's dive into this. So here's what you're going to need. The setup is going to be, you're going to need a spreadsheet. Okay. It's on the right, Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet, whatever. It can be very, very simple. It doesn't need to be fancy. And you're going to need a clipboard. That's all you need, okay? The clipboard is going to have on it the 6-step student saver system, okay, which you're going to get today. And the spreadsheet should have a student name, date, improve, and notes. And I'll tell you what that means soon, but that's all you need, okay, is a script and a simple spreadsheet. The spreadsheet should have all the students' names on it. So essentially, you're printing out a full list of all your students, okay? Now, if you don't know how to do that, ask your software provider, your CRM. But you should be able to print a full list of all your students that you currently have at your school. Simple. All right. And when you're going to do this is before, during, or after class. Okay. So you can do it before class if you have some time. You can do it during class or after class. It really doesn't matter when you do it, but you want to sit next to the person. Now, don't do it in a way that's like this, where you're making the person uncomfortable, but you're just going to sit next to the parent to talk about their child or the adult student to talk about themselves. Okay. And you're going to sit next to them as if you're talking to a friend or a buddy. All right. So step one of the student saver system is you're going to offer gratitude. Okay. Now, I am part of a lot of different places where I'm a customer. Okay. I take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at another school. I have a gym membership. I have a co-working space. I pay for a lot of services, right? And memberships. And like never do I remember anyone ever coming up to me and say, hey, thank you so much for being a customer here. and I really appreciate you being a customer and allowing us to run our business. So that's what you're going to do is step one. Okay. You're going to sit next to a parent and you're going to just be grateful and thankful that they're there. You say, hey, thank you guys so much for being a member here at my school. I know you can spend your hard-earned time and money doing anything, and you choose to spend it with us, and allows me to do what I absolutely love. So thank you so much for being here. Okay. Now, what's that person going to feel like, or how's that person going to feel when you just thank them for being a customer? They're going to feel really good, right? And they're going to feel like, wow, like what great customer service. They're just coming to thank me, right? And the way you say it is going to be different than, if you're leaving a restaurant or a supermarket and they go, thanks for coming. Like, okay, bye. Right. This is like you're sitting down next to them and having a real conversation and speaking from the heart. All right. So step 2. All right, is going to be mark their progress. Okay, so all this whole system is having a quick conversation of 6 questions. Okay, so the second part is you got to talk about their progress. So let's talk about for young students like kids. Most parents, they don't necessarily see progress in their children. They don't necessarily see how they're getting better. It's kind of like if if you haven't seen someone in a really long time, maybe a child, and they grow, they're like, oh my God, you got so tall, right? You haven't seen them in a couple of years. But if you're like the parent, you don't necessarily see it because you see in small increments each day and you get acclimated to it. So you don't see the drastic change. Well, why do members often quit? Well, often they quit because A, they're either bored, or B, they don't feel like they're progressing. They don't feel like they're getting any better. They're just going. Okay. And that's the difference between like an activity, like I'm just going to do this thing, or something that is actually helping me grow and get better. And I feel like I'm actually progressing. Okay. So if a child, let's say, is a spinner, okay, I'm talking about the kids who are younger, just like spin around all the time, or always staring at the mirror, picking their nose or whatever. And they used to do that the entire class. And then now you're checking in with them and doing the student saver system. And now they only do that for 10 minutes of the class. The parent might be frustrated and be like, oh, look at my child. They're still doing what they did when they first came here. Right? So this is where you're going to ask them about what progress they see. Okay. So what progress have they seen since they joined your program? You want to know what's in their head. Okay, what they are thinking. Later, we're going to talk about what we're thinking. Sorry about the miscommunication there. Okay, so you're going to ask them, "Hey, what progress have you seen since you started since you joined here at our martial arts school?" And they're going to tell you. Okay, and then just listen. All right. So the next part is going to be asking them for feedback. Okay, so hey, if you could change anything here, if you could change one thing here at our martial arts school, what would it be? Or we're always looking for ways to improve. Is there anything you notice that you think we can do better here at blah martial arts school? And they might have always been thinking one thing, maybe like the bathroom is kind of dirty sometimes, or maybe they need their child or themselves as an adult need extra help in class with something. And this is where they're going to tell you that. This is where you give them the opportunity to give you feedback besides like, hoping they just send you an email or a text, right? Most of the time people bottle that stuff up and they start to pile up the reasons like, oh, and the bathroom's dirty. Oh, and they didn't help me with those moves when I needed it. Oh, and the parking lot is too full. Oh, and they keep on adding up. And when they go to quit, they have all those reasons, right? So you want to find out now, hey, like, what can we do to get better here? Right? Give me honest feedback. And if you're part of that, like getting better, and you actually help yourself improve, you're going to have a better program, and this person's going to feel heard, and it's going to improve their loyalty. All right. So next up, this one is so powerful. Okay. This is called the past, present, and future. All right. So this is what we use to help people see their progress. So they told us what what they think their progress is, but what progress do we see? Right. Because they might not notice it. So like I mentioned earlier, a child might be spinning around the whole class when they first join, but now they only spin around for 5 or 10 minutes. And here's what we'd say. Hey, I remember when Johnny first joined, that when he would always spin around in class, never really pay attention. It was really tough to get him to focus. But now, at least 2/3 of the class, he's totally focused, locked in. All right. And is he perfect the whole time? Absolutely not. But he's so much better now than he was in the past. Okay. So we're giving them a contrast. Yeah, you were, here, but now you're all the way over here. I don't know if you've seen the video, right? Like you're in such a better spot. And if you keep that up, you're going to be a great black belt someday. Now, here's what I want you to work on. Give them some sort of feedback. I want you to practice this move or this character skill. And I'll tell you what, when I first decided to test for my black belt, I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't think if I'd be good enough. And I'll tell you what, though, the first time I put on that black belt, I knew it was the best decision that I ever made. And I tell you what, through your journey, as you continue training, there's going to be times where it's really hard and difficult and you're going to feel like quitting. But if you get past those times when things are difficult and hard, you're going to be so happy you stuck with it and that you earned your black belt. Okay. So we're talking about their past, where they're at now. So how much they've improved. Okay. Just point out anything that is good. Don't lie to them. It's got to be honest. Okay. So even if like they only improved an incremental amount, talk about that. Okay. And we're pre-framing this is what it'll be like in the future. Okay. Give them some feedback too as well after that. Then after we complimented them, talked about all these great things, we're going to ask them for a referral. Hey, we love having families just like yours. Do you know someone else who might be interested in martial arts? And they might say, oh, my neighbor or my friend or my dog, like whatever. Okay. Now, if they say yes, we'll say, oh, cool. Would it be okay if I gave you a guest pass that you can give to them and have some sort of like VIP pass or something like that to give to them that they can give to their friend? Okay. Don't have it right there, but have it like in their same room or maybe in your pocket that you can give to them. All right. So we're going to ask them to refer someone. Not everyone's going to refer someone. Okay. People forget all the time, but we'll have other times throughout their training where we'll ask them for a referral. And a lot of times it's just like, it builds up and eventually they're like, oh yeah, let me ask this person. It'll actually happen. Okay. So don't be discouraged. Not every person you talk to refers their friends. It might be like only 1 to 3 out of 10 and that's okay. All right. And the last thing is you're going to say, hey, we love having families like yours. You can kind of like say what you said before or a different variation of it. And I'll have the script for this as well with the exact question. And I don't actually have that exact question in front of me, but essentially how it goes is families like yours can really inspire a lot of people. Would you be opposed to writing us a Google review? And I'll say, oh no, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I could do that. I'll be, okay, great. And then have them write a Google review. They can bring it up on their phone right there. That's like even better. You can say, oh, do you have your phone on you? And they can do it right there. Or they'll do it later if you don't have like time. But regardless, you're going to want to send them a link later to write a Google review because they're going to forget, things going to pop up and it's just natural. They don't mean to forget, but it just happens with daily life. So we'll send them a way to easily write a review later. Okay. So that's a 6-step student saving system. Okay. And how do you think your customers, your students are going to feel? They're going to feel an immense amount of customer satisfaction. Okay. So here are some frequently asked questions that instructors always ask me whenever we go through this. How often should we do this? Okay. You should do this about quarterly. Every 3 or 4 months, I think is good. If you have a giant school that has like 400 students, you might not be able to get through it all, but 3 or 4 times a year. But you want to do this if you have a really small school and there's 40 kids. Well, you can't have this conversation every month, right? So I think 3 to 4 times a year is an appropriate amount of times per year. How long does it typically take per person? This whole conversation should be anywhere between like 3 to 6 minutes. If it's longer, like 10 minutes, that means I'm probably telling you a bunch of good stuff, which is great. This is not a long, drawn-out conversation. And one of the reasons I love having this conversation is because it has nothing to do with upgrading, joining the program, them having to buy stuff. There's nothing financial related to it. There's nothing like they're not getting in trouble. It's just like a normal, easy conversation. And it makes it so when you go to have a conversation with them later about upgrading or maybe their account not working or whatever, they're not automatically going to have their guard up because every time you go to talk to them privately, it's always something bad or something not working. Okay. So like we love having these conversations. So who does this? Well, obviously the main instructor can do it, but the main instructor doesn't need to be the person to do it. It could be anyone on staff. It can even be a front desk person that never goes on the mat. Okay. Now, if it's a front desk person that never goes on the mat, they need to know the information about the child so it's genuine. Okay. Or the student. So what they'll do is they'll go to one of the instructors and say, hey, tell me a little bit about this student. I'm going to do I'm going to do one of the student saver system with them. Okay. And I want to know what to say and get that person's answers. Like, how were they when they first started? Where are they now? What homework can I give them? Okay. And when you go and talk to the parents, you'll say, hey, I was talking to Sensei Alex, and Sensei Alex told me that when you first started, you were like this, and now you're like this. And he said, if you do this, this, and this, you'll be a great black belt someday. And you can either tell like your black belt story or tell Sensei Alex's black belt story. Okay. But it doesn't need to be the main instructor. So if you're like, oh, I'm too strapped, I can't make this work, have someone else do it on your staff. Okay. And by the way, this is also going to help them in terms of your staff build rapport with the parents. So do I need to memorize the script? No. Okay. Have it printed out on a clipboard directly in front of you so you don't miss something. There's nothing wrong with reading it off the paper. Okay. As long as you're looking at the person in the eyes when they're talking to you. What if someone says something negative? All right. So that's going to happen sometimes. I don't know any business that has 0 negative reviews. All right. Everyone's going to have a bad experience at some point. So if they say something negative, thank them for being open and honest. So if they say, oh, I really don't like how he doesn't get help in class, there's too many kids in class, I'll be, oh, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate your openness and honesty. I think most people, if they were having a problem, they'd either just like, they would just quit and leave and not say anything, or they might just write something online. But man, you came to us and tell me that really, really helps. And here's my plan for fixing it. Okay. And then fix it, like whatever it is. So talk with your teammates on your staff and say, hey, this is what the parents said. All right. After the conversation, you'd put it in that spreadsheet. And then you talk at your next meeting and say, here's what the parents said. How can we fix this? How can we make it better? Okay. Then when they come in next time, you can say, hey, we had a meeting with our staff. Here's how we're going to help Johnny better in class, or here's how we're going to help with the parking lot space, or here's how we're going to help with the stinky feet smell, like whatever. But you making an effort to actually make it happen, to fix it, A, they're not going to have any issues coming to you later, but B, they're going to feel so grateful that like you're actually doing something to make it better. All right. So for people who don't write Google reviews, like a couple days later, they didn't do it, just send them a text message with the link and they'll do it then. And I had already did this one, but what if you're not the main instructor? Well, have someone else do it. And by the way, your staff, they're going to feel way more confident after these conversations. So if you have staff members that aren't used to like building rapport with the members off the mat or the parents off the mat, having them do this will help them build a ton of confidence. All right. And the last thing is, if you have a great black belt story, instead of using the generic couple sentences that I said, talk about your story. There's nothing that's going to be more genuine than talking about your personalized story. Don't go on in a giant 10-minute rant, but a couple seconds about what it meant to you. All right. And give them a VIP pass if they have a friend. Like we have a special VIP pass we give just to friends and family. It's not like a regular flyer. So it should be something kind of special. All right. That's it. That's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, you can email me at matthew@doubleyourdojo.com, matthew@doubleyourdojo.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1. This is so impactful. I hope you do it because this is so good. Do it quarterly. Set it up in your school where it happens all the time, not just like a one-time thing, because that's when I'll have the most cumulative effects and impact on your business and your bottom line. You'll make more money. You'll have happier students in your school, and you'll just feel better as a business person. So kick some butt. Go crush it. Bye.